He might have laid it on a little thick about the number of emergency cases he'd been dealing with lately and his overwhelming caseload, but knowing Rose was listening to every word stopped him. "I'm checking that you've got the stag night under control." He cursed inside his head. When he'd agreed to be best man at Harvey's wedding, he'd assumed that all he had to do was show up at the wedding, get the groom there on time, pass the ring, and make a speech. He'd had no idea that he would be called upon to organize a stag night. "The stag? Yeah, absolutely, I'm on it." It wasn't that he'd forgotten the stag. He'd simply been swamped, and during the few snatched hours that weren't devoted to working or sleeping, he'd had other more important or more interesting things to do. Rose didn't even pretend not to be listening. Those big, deep blue eyes widened slightly. She tapped across to the fridge, opened it, and bent, treating him to a great view of the line of her hip. She withdrew a bottle of water and leaned against the counter, openly watching him squirm. "Good, great," Harvey replied. "Not planning anything stupid, right? No strippers?" Ah, so the call wasn't only to check up that Matt was doing his job, but to ensure he was doing it properly. Harvey was a promising young lawyer with his sights clearly set on politics. Having grown up in the age of social media, they both knew that strippers were out of the question. "No peelers, I promise." "Good. So, what are we doing?" If only he wasn't so tired. His back hurt like hell, and the only few words he'd spoken in the last few hours were curt requests for the next instrument he needed. He hadn't powered up yet for social interaction, or white lies. He rubbed his palm over his forehead as though he could massage the social part of his brain into action. "Well, obviously there's going to be drinking involved." Rose shook her head, screwed the lid off her bottle of water, and sipped as though it were a beer. "Come on, dude. Tell me you've figured this out." A trace of irritation came across. Now that Harvey was confident the stag night wouldn't tarnish any future political career, he was all over the details. "Of course I've got it figured out." His gaze bounced around the lounge, searching desperately for inspiration. He was too tired to make something up without help. Rose, regarding his discomfort, sipped more water. He saw a Portland Now magazine someone had left on a chair. The headline on the front cover advertised an article about the many microbreweries and craft breweries in the area. His tired brain latched onto the notion. Microbreweries. Yes, he said. "We're going on a pub crawl. Check out a few microbreweries and craft breweries in the area." Rose glanced at the magazine and back at him. He really wished she would find business elsewhere. It was bad enough performing under pressure without her scrutiny. "Okay, that's cool. But a pub crawl? That's it?" He knew his buddy liked to be different, but not too different. On the edge, but never over it. Desperation gave him a second idea. Possibly a stupid idea, but he was too fatigued to judge. He made a gun with his thumb up and 2 fingers outstretched, closing one eye and pretending to squint down the barrel of a rifle. He aimed his imaginary firearm at Rosa's heart. Her only reaction was to raise her eyebrows. "After we go shooting." "Shooting?" There was silence for a second. Rose shook her head at him, and then Harvey laughed. "Shooting? Like a rifle range?" "Handguns." He nodded, liking the idea. "We'll shoot for a couple hours and then we hit the pub crawl. Your stag will be unique." "I gotta hand it to you. You came up with something perfect." "Hey, my best friend only gets married once." Then he hesitated. "I hope." Harvey laughed. "Oh yeah, a woman like Teresa doesn't come along every day." He didn't have any more time to waste than Matt did. He said, "Thanks, bro. I'll see you for basketball Tuesday." "You bet. Later." He ended the call and Rose said, "How long have you been planning this stag night?" She knew he'd come up with those ideas in the last couple of minutes, and he knew she knew. He said, "Weeks." Their gazes connected. There was something about this woman that always got under his skin. She wasn't even in the hospital that much, but he always seemed to be bumping into her with her perfect coolness, her unmussed beauty, and that sense she gave him that she thought he was beneath her.